Okay, so I know today's video is not the usual topic of conversation on this channel, and I know some of you guys almost treat it like it's illegal for me to talk about anything other than Overlord sometimes. I don't think I've actually ever made a video on this channel talking about video games, but I feel compelled to speak about this game. Just in case some of you have been living under rocks and don't know about this thing yet, if I can even get the knowledge out to even one of my viewers that doesn't know about this game, then this video has succeeded. And the game I am talking about is Clair Obscur Expedition 33. Now, I am apparently one of many people that knew absolutely nothing about this game before it was released. It was revealed like almost a year ago. I remember the day it was released because I started up Steam because I was going to start playing Schedule 1 with one of my friends, and I saw this game and I knew the name was foreign, and I remember making a note like, oh, that sounds French, I wonder what that's about. And then the weekend hit and I was suddenly inundated with news about this game. People were blowing it up, just going absolutely nuts over this game, and I was just like, okay, I have to try it. I have to try this game out. Now, luckily this game is on Game Pass, and so I decided to give it a shot there. No matter how much people glaze this game, no matter how much I think the positive reviews have come in for this game and the positive reception to this game is, it doesn't do what the experience of playing this game is justice. It's fucking immaculate. I'll give you the rundown really quick. Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is a new turn-based RPG that came out, I think a couple weeks ago now. And I know some people are gonna hear turn-based and they're just immediately going to, lose it. I used to be that way too, okay? Before I played that game on that poster right there, I didn't like turn-based games at all. The Persona series is what turned me around on the turn-based genre, and my favorite turn-based game is actually this one right here, which was also made by Atlus, Metaphor ReFantazio. Amazing game, story-wise too, awesome. But I gotta say, I think Expedition 33 is probably the best turn-based game I've ever played in my entire life. I am extremely shocked at how good the narrative is. Now, I'm not gonna do any spoilers here because the narrative is so vital to the experience of this game that I am going to avoid all spoilers. However, the most basic description of what the story is, it takes place in kind of this alternate sort of fantasy dystopian world. Basically, the civilization you start with is like this island that's off the coast of this large continent, and in the middle of this world is this giant monolith where a goddess known as the Paintress lives, and every year she wakes up at the same time and she paints a number on the monolith, and whenever she paints the number, people who are that age or older die immediately. And it started at 100 and it's gone down by 1 every single year, and at the start of the game it goes from 34 to 33, and every year after what they call the Gommage, which is when the Paintress paints and the people of that age die. After the Gommage, the city sends out an expedition on a quest to try and kill the Paintress and, end this cycle of people just dying. And one of the best things about this game is how quickly the atmosphere is conveyed to you. It's just this sense of hopelessness that is really just, people have just come to accept it. After 67 years of failed expeditions, they've kind of lost faith. The people of this world have kind of lost faith that the expeditions are going to succeed. So they've just kind of accepted that, like, this is the cards they were dealt in life, and like this is the life we live, where we only get to be with our kids for like a few years, and then we get Thanos snapped out of existence. And like children grow up knowing that they're only going to live to like 17, 18 years old, because as the number keeps going down, even kids only get to live till like if they do the math, like 15, 16 years old, and then they're gonna die too. Also, the prologue isn't very long. You can get through it probably in like 15, 20 minutes, which is super short for an RPG in my opinion. Good lord, the prologue to Persona 5 is like an hour and a half. It takes forever. But this game, in terms of the story, I think will hook you in the first 20 to 30 minutes. I mean, it is just absolutely incredible how well they immediately build this world around you, and how you're immediately sucked into the atmosphere of the world that you're in. And something that has just made me so addicted to this game is the mysteries surrounding the world. Why does the Paintress do this? Why is this happening? What is going on? What caused the world to be this way? And for every mystery that gets it's solved, 3 more are added on top of it. And the game doesn't give you these answers very quickly. There isn't this just pile of expository dialogue, you know, like there usually is at the beginning of RPGs to get you in the world. They're fine with letting a few, like several huge things about the world just kind of remain in mystery. And you have to you're slowly piecing it together as you've gone through the game. It is so gripping at that mystery aspect of the narrative of what exactly is going on. This game's story has gripped me and pulled me in and awoken something in me that I thought was dead. I didn't think I had the capacity to get this invested into a game's story anymore, but I must be, and apparently it's obvious to other people too. I say this because I was on the phone with my mom and she was asking me about what games I'm playing because she also likes to play games, and I told her about this game and I'm talking about the story of it, and she's like, oh my god, you must love this game. This game must be something special because I have never heard you talk about a game like this before. But the narrative is something I really don't want to talk about too much because it's so important to me that you experience it without any spoilers. Definitely be careful of that stuff on the internet when you're reading about this game. So now let's get into the real meat with any video game, which is of course the gameplay. Now a lot of you guys probably heard me talk about turn-based earlier, and I know immediately that'll turn some people off. Like I said, before I started playing the Persona series, I was not a turn-based guy at all. Since then I've turned around on that. I've played a ton of turn-based games since then. I quite like them now. But this game has taken an entirely unique approach to what is turn-based combat. On the offensive side of combat, you do have your normal turn-based system of going through menus, picking your move, and then executing your move on the enemy that you pick. There is an added element on offense where most moves have some sort of QTE, where if you hit the timing right, you'll get some sort of added effect or bonus effect. So I'll give you an example. There's like several skills in this game where they will hit like 3 to 5 times, and they'll hit 5 times always if you nail the QTEs every single time. They're like timing based. So if you perform the QTEs right on offense, your move is like enhanced. So that actually keeps you super engaged in every offensive move you make because you want to hit those timings. And there is a setting to do those automatically. I never did that because I think it does make you a little more engaged on the offensive side. Now, as for the defensive side of combat, you are always engaged on that side because the defensive side of combat is completely interactive with dodging and parrying. So in most turn-based games, and a lot of the negative stigma around it is that when it's the opponent's turn in a turn-based game, you basically just have to sit there and wait for their turn to be done. That is not the case in Expedition 33. This game's defense revolves around you basically watching the movements of the enemy while they're on screen and then dodging, or if your timing's even better than that, you can parry their move. And both of these defensive mechanics basically completely nullify the enemy's damage. So if you're actually good at the timing-based defense system, you could make it through this game theoretically without taking any damage ever. You can become unkillable on the defensive side if you're good at the timing inputs, because dodging is like the easier of the two to perform, but it has less benefits than parrying. If you parry, you get 1 additional ability point, which is what you spend to cast skills. If you parry all of the attacks in an attack string that the enemy performs, you get to get a free counterattack. So parrying is harder to do, but it comes with more benefits, whereas dodging is easier to do, but you don't get as many benefits. And there's other defensive mechanics that are introduced in the game as you progress, and so that the combat system actually gets more layered as you progress through the game, which is, it was already, you know, good enough to begin with, but then they add more mechanics on top of that. Another thing I absolutely loved about this game is that every single character has some sort of unique mechanic around them. So every character plays uniquely. And by that I don't mean that like the game is like totally different whenever you play as these people. Every single character has like their own like style that they revolve around. It's kind of hard to explain. I'll give you an example. There's a character in this game, her whole entire like play style revolves around using skills that apply cards to enemies and then using skills that will have effects based on like removing the cards from enemies. So her whole gameplay loop revolves around like, I'm gonna apply some cards to these enemies and then maybe do some sort of effects with all the cards that I have on them, and then I'm going to absorb all these cards and use them to power up this big damaging move that I have on this other skill. But then we go to another character, and her whole thing revolves around how her skills basically put her into these stances, and these stances have varying different effects on them. Like, she has an offensive stance where she does more damage but also takes more damage, so it's kind of a risky thing. And like, her whole kit revolves around managing what stance you want to go into, because every skill will put you into a different stance, and then trying to pick which stances to go into. So like, the whole time you're trying to alternate stances. I just love that. I love that every character felt unique. It didn't just feel like, oh, this is the same thing but with a different flavor. They all play uniquely because they all have these major gameplay mechanics that are all unique to the individual character, which is so awesome. I also have to say, something that truly stands out with this game is the soundtrack. Holy shit. I think there is no way this game doesn't win Best Soundtrack at the Game Awards for this year. There is no way this doesn't win. When I started the game, I wasn't expecting my entire soul to get sent into the stratosphere by the main menu song. Since Dark Souls 3, I have not seen a better main menu song. When you're playing this game and this music is just blasting in the battles. I mean, there were actually moments where I set my controller down just to listen to the music that's going on in the background. I can't really think of a game off the top of my head that has a better soundtrack in my mind. It might be the best soundtrack I've ever heard in any video game ever. My only minor criticisms of the game is that you can only equip 6 skills at once, which I do think feels a little limiting based on how many skills you can actually unlock. When I have like 20-25 skills to choose from and I can only equip 6 at a time, that does feel a tad bit limiting. This also applies to Pictos. So Pictos are basically like your gear that you can equip, and not the abilities, the Luminas. I'm not talking about that. You can equip a zillion of those. You can only equip 3, and there's so many in this game. There's a zillion Pictos in this game, but you can only equip 3 at a time, which, you know, like I said, those for the amount that they give you both in skills and Pictos versus the amount that you can equip, that feels a tad bit limiting. That's less of a limiting concern because those are mainly just for stats. The skills thing is more of a viable criticism, in my opinion, just from the amount of skills that each character has. Only being able to equip 6 sometimes feels pretty limiting. Like there are times where I wish I had like 8, and I'd like, because there's certain situations that like, oh, I need to have this skill for certain situations, but like if you're not in this situation, it's like, oh man, like do I need to restart because I don't have to have this skill for this fight? Other than that, I can't think of any complaints for this game. This is about damn near as close to a perfect game as I've ever experienced in my life. And you know what the real cherry on top, the real kiss on the nose with this game is? It's only $50, which I think is a crime. It's $20 under the normal standard. This game should easily be the industry standard, but because these people are awesome, they're selling it for $50. And like I said, I started playing this game on Game Pass, but I also got a physical copy for my PS5 just because I wanted to support this type of pricing decision. I wanted to validate every decision these people have made about this game. This is truly probably top 10 favorite games I've ever played in my entire life. And in terms of story, top 3 easy. Now, I haven't finished it yet, so a lot of you are saying like, oh, how can you judge a game if you haven't played it all the way through and you don't know the ending? But I've played it enough to know that this game is truly something special. I'm so glad it's enjoying great success. Over 2 million copies sold since release. I'm very happy for Samfall Interactive, and they totally deserve it. This game is truly a masterclass. It truly proves that you don't need a humongous humongous budget or a team of 300 people in order to make something amazing. You just need a team of passionate people that love what they do, and it's very clear that this shows in this game. Like I said, I haven't experienced a game like this that's wrapped me up like this in so long. It's woken things in me that I didn't think I still had anymore. And like I said, I know this isn't my usual content, and most of you probably don't even care, but I feel compelled to just speak about this game just because of how much I'm enjoying it, and I think it's something that a lot of people would enjoy. So if you hadn't heard about it, look into it, make your own decision. Let me know what you guys think about the game, please, because I think it's incredible. I think it's actually truly a masterpiece. So with all that being said, thank you all for watching to the very end of the video, and I will see you all next time. Bye.